Hey, it's Lauren. Thank you so much for listening to The Afterlight. Enjoy the episode.
This episode has been brought to you by the Afterlight Institute. The Afterlight Institute is a community of teachers and students seeking to expand their spiritual gifts and their inner wisdom on the road to illuminating their forgotten selves. Offering online courses, in-person retreats, live events, online expositions, and more, the Afterlight Institute is a safe and inclusive space for all. To learn more, head to theafterlightinstitute.com.
Hey, it's Lauren Grace here, and welcome to the show. I wanted to jump on here, first of all, to apologize to you. I accidentally had the wrong setting when I recorded this episode. I was picking up my Mac speakers instead of my headphones, and I didn't notice it until the very end. Now, I had two options, obviously. One, release it as it is, or two, re-record it. I personally would be concerned that I wouldn't record the same quality of episode if I were to re-record it again. So I've decided to put it out the way that it is. So this is the first time you're listening to my show. Please note that I do take the audio quality of my episodes very seriously, and that this isn't indicative of that. However, hopefully you can get around that and you can listen to the message within the episode here. And also, hopefully you'll get to hear the kookaburras, because if I was recording on my headphones, that might not have been as prominent. All right, I promise I'll do better moving forward. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hi, Lauren here, and welcome to the show. You are tuned in to the Afterlight podcast, and I'm so glad that you're here. It's another solo episode. I must say I started off this podcast thinking that it would be a lot of me doing interviews with people, and that's really what it's been over the last year and a half. And one of the things that I really do enjoy doing, however, is sharing my reflections and my ideas and my stories and such with you as well. And when I'm interviewing a guest, I really do try to make it all about them. So I've decided that I am going to be doing a little bit more some more solo episodes rather, and I hope that you can get some value out of it. I hope that there are some new ideas here potentially for you, or just maybe refreshing some old gems that you haven't thought of in a while. So today on the show, I'm going to be talking about the idea of listening to your dreams and your vibes. And this is probably going to be a bit of a short and sweet episode, primarily because I've got one main thing I want to tell you, and it's not going to take me that long to explain it. Okay, so number one, I have been paying more attention to my dreams lately. And by paying more attention to my dreams lately, I mean that I have been putting out an intention when I go to bed at night to remember my dreams in the morning. And I've also been letting my spirit guides know that this is a good way for me to work through stuff, process things, let things go, download new information, and also be inspired. And so I feel that, over the last couple of months especially, but probably since February, now and again, I will get these dreams, and they will be really significant of something that I need to implement or try out. So for example, I remember I woke up at the end of January, and the message was clearly sober February. It's not like I drink a lot of alcohol at all, but I was really getting the cue that maybe I should take a month off of having a wine or having a bourbon. So I ended up doing that. And sometimes I get other messages from my dreams, like maybe to deliver a particular message to a person, or just to continue to give myself more love. But recently I had a dream about continuing to listen to a book by Sonia Choquette called Trust Your Vibes. Now, I am a huge #1 fan of Hay House Unlimited Radio, which is now called Empower You Radio. And basically, there are a whole bunch of books on there, audiobooks and immersive trainings and things like that. And so I'm always in the middle of reading or listening to multiple books, as well as taking, a master class in business and things like that. So I tend to kind of put my energy in different places depending on how I'm feeling at the time. And I'm also really cognizant as well that if I am always doing that, I'm not allowing, things to incubate. So creating some space is also super key. Anyway, I'm just going to write myself a note while we're hanging out here. Creating space is key for processing information, because I just thought that might be a really good episode that I can talk about with spirit guides and downloads and stuff like that. So that's coming up in the future. Okay, thank you for bearing with me. I didn't want to stop recording to write that down, but I really needed to remember that. Okay, so I had a dream the other day that I was supposed to continue listening to this book. Now, what's funny about that is that I've already listened to this book, but there is an updated version. So I've been listening to the new version. Anyway, so I had a really clear message in my head, or from my guides in my dream, to say, girl, you need to go, you need to listen to this book again. So I'm listening to this book, walking around with George, my dog, and I'm at the section where they're talking about intuitively listen to your body, and your body's giving you signs. And very often, you might have anxiety is a sign, a pretty common sign people get. Some people might get sickness when they're around, certain people for lengths of time. There's a whole bunch of stuff that she goes into in the book that I'm really not going to go into today, because I really wanted to make it sort of relevant for you in terms of an example that's happened to me. So I'm listening to this chapter on, listening to your body, and that your body's giving you cues as to whether or not something is right for you, right? And I have that day, and this is a couple of days ago, so this is really fresh. So I have I don't know if you can hear the kookaburras in the background, but just give you a moment in case you can, because they're so cool and they always remind me to have fun and not take life so seriously. Okay, so back to where I'm going. I keep on going all these tangents. So I listened to this chapter on listening to your body, and I have a lash appointment later that day. And my lash appointment is basically to tint my eyelashes. So if you don't know what that means, it basically means add color to your eyelashes, and then you don't really have to wear makeup. And I prefer to have dark eyelashes, although I don't always wear makeup. Okay, so I haven't really done this before. I've done it one time before, and that was it. So the time that I did it before was fine. It was just at a different place. So I go into this studio, nice studio, good reviews, okay? I'm not going anywhere dodgy. And I go in, and all of a sudden, I'm starting to feel like I have a headache. And I go and I lie down on the bed, and I have a pounding headache. And I'm thinking to myself, weird, this really has come out of absolutely nowhere. I was feeling fine. I came into this place. I've got a headache now. There was no noticeable scent anywhere. Sometimes these places have products and you can kind of smell them. No, there was nothing. Everything's clean, normal smells, all that kind of stuff. But I've got this headache. So I'm lying on the bed, and I'm about to get my lash tint done. And, the woman's really friendly and everything, talking me through all this stuff. And my headache is pounding. And all I can think of is, am I getting a sign right now that I am not supposed to proceed here? And I think to myself, interesting. Maybe I need a coffee, maybe it's a caffeine headache. Maybe I need more water because I've been drinking a lot of tea, not as much water. I don't know. So, all of a sudden the kind of head voice is trying to justify why I might be having a headache, right? Whereas my inner knowing, my higher self, my intuition is saying, girl, this is an obvious sign. And then my head voice is going, but is it though? Am I making it up, or is this relevant? Anyway, so I'm lying on the bed. I've got this headache. I'm about to get the treatment done. And I obviously have two options. One, I can say to her, hey, I'm sorry. I can't continue here. I'm getting a headache. And this is a sign from my inner self, my intuition, that something is amiss here and I must leave. Or maybe you don't need to be so dramatic. I guess I could probably, although I don't lie, so I think I'd have a hard time going, listen, I have to go and I can't explain why. Anyway, the other option is obviously to sit there and to get the treatment and to pass off my headache as being something like what I said earlier. Maybe I need more water. Maybe I'm having some kind of caffeine withdrawal headache. So what do I do? What do you think I do? I stay there and I get the treatment, right? Because this is where the story is going. Obviously, if I had left, I probably wouldn't have as cool of a story to share with you today. So maybe there's part of, maybe I took one for the team, we could say. So anyway, so I get the treatment. It's fine. Everything is good. I come home. I don't even know if it was that day. Oh, well, that day I continued to have a really bad headache for the rest of the day. And then the following day, all of a sudden my eyes started getting itchy, and like specifically one of my eyes. So both of them were getting itchy. So it's Monday now that I'm recording this, and I got my treatment done on Friday. So it's been, 2 days, basically 2 full days, 2.5 days sort of thing at this stage. And my eyes are so itchy, especially one of them. I have been taking antihistamines to help me with that, and some cold compresses as well. And I'm going to be messaging the woman to just find out what product she used so that I know to avoid that in the future should I ever endeavor to do this again, which at the moment I'm really not feeling that, although I had one experience that was fine. And so I guess I wanted to share this story with you because I think that when we start to pay attention, number one, to our dreams, and number two, to the vibes that we get, that we are given cues and clues as to whether or not things are right for us. So a vibe is very often something that, it's like a gut feeling. It's an intuition. It's an instinct that you have about a situation or about people or about making a decision or about a location or something like that. Very often I can tell when I'm feeling a certain vibe if I go from feeling in one state to feeling in a different state. And sometimes this reflects, or this shows up for me as anxiety. But obviously now I'm aware, wait a minute, the more that I'm paying attention, it could also be showing up as a headache, right? Or maybe some kind of an ache in another part of my body. So I want to encourage you today and moving forward, to think about whether or not you're ignoring any cues, anything in your body that is saying to you, hey, there's something here that you need to pay attention to. And sometimes we pick up on things from other people, and that's all we're doing, especially if you're empathic, that would happen to you. And by the way, if you are empathic, as I am, it's really important that you understand how to clear and cleanse your energy and get aware of what stuff is yours and what's not. So there's a lot of episodes on the podcast that deal with that because I'm really fascinated by the subject. So, make sure you check out some of our episodes on empaths and being empathic. Okay, so the key is to listening to the messages that your body's telling you and then to follow through on those messages. And I remember I was talking with a friend a little while ago, and they were wanting to make a certain decision, but they couldn't justify why that decision was the right one. And it was just sort of funny to kind of remind ourselves, wait a minute, we don't always need to justify why we want to make a decision if we just feel intuitively something is not right. So I kind of started thinking a little bit about this. Here I am lying there, I've got my headache, and I know intuitively something's not right, but then my head voice feels like I've already committed because I made the appointment and I probably can't back out now without pain. And, I'm interested in those people who make those sort of decisions and get that validation. For example, you're going to catch a flight, something feels off, you don't take the flight crashes, or you are going somewhere. I remember listening to a story actually in this Trust Your Vibes book about this man. He was driving to work. He was really calm, listening, some relaxing music. So he was really just, present. And he got this really strong feeling that he needed to go home. So he turned around, he went home, and he basically intercepted an electrical fire at his place. So I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever had an example like what I'm talking about where you just trusted your vibe and then you sort of got validated for that? It would have been way harder for me to get up off that bed and say, I can't stay here, I've got a headache. I never would have known what would have happened after that, right? I never would have known that maybe there was an allergic reaction that I was going to have to this lash tint, whereas because I stuck with it, I now see, oh, I get it. I got an allergic reaction to lash tint. Had I listened to it earlier, I would have avoided this. However, now that I have gone through this experience, it's sort of validated, number one, a podcast episode where maybe you can learn from this, but also it's also validated me listening to my vibes and listening to my body, maybe more so than I have before. So that's the end of the show today. I guess moving forward, what I want to leave you with is, if you are sort of caught up on the whole trusting your vibes concept, I want you to pay attention to your emotions, and I want you to pay attention as well to physical reactions you might have to stuff, okay? You know, maybe you're hanging around someone and you always develop a cough. Maybe there's something there about not being able to speak your truth. Maybe you are, eating certain foods and then you get really itchy after. Maybe there's too much sugar in it and it's creating a yeast imbalance. You know, there's all these sort of small things that you can start to look at and start to pay attention to that can really help propel you and moving forward to live a glorious and amazing life. All right. Thank you so much for paying attention to me. Paying attention. I hope you paid attention. But if you're driving or, like I like to say, operating heavy machinery, hopefully you're also paying attention to that. Thank you so much as well for listening, and please do check out some of our other episodes, because if you know anything about me, there are episodes here that are chock full of value, because that's all I'm going to be giving you and putting out into the world. So hopefully there's something for you. Thanks again for listening, and talk to you next time. Bye.
Hi, thanks so much for listening to the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave us a review where you listen to your podcasts and share it with your friends. Thank you. New episodes every Thursday.